we are going to redo our web page, our home page, to add a few, to make it look a little more presentable than the default home page to start with. We will change this to add our name up here and up there as well. We're going to change our copyright to include our name down here. Notice too that our page is going to be, I think I can show you. Let me try. Yep, I can do this, and we can see that the page adjusts to the size of the screen allocated to it. So that's good. Also notice we added, modified our menu. We changed the name here. We added an item for school. So remember, we're going to build a school page up here. Of course, we left the about and contact pages alone, and our semester page. Doesn't sound like a lot, but let's take a look at how we did that. Visual Studio Code. And this is the code that shows our home page. So we're going to modify this significantly. I'm going to delete basically everything here. I'm going to delete this div and this div and just wipe it out. What we want to do is we want to add our own home page to this. So let's see how we do that. Let's add a H2 tag here. H2 is the header tag. We'll call this ITP 245 by, and this has a little bit of C# code in here. We started off with the @ sign. We can put our viewbag.title in here. And it's going to take whatever the title value is up here and make it part of our home page. Before we had your name, you remember, I'm going to change this and put my name in here, and I want you to do the same as you do this. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a paragraph. I'm going to type really fast here, and there's a paragraph. It says it is unusual to see a working prototype. So this is our first part of this, and we're going to add a second paragraph that says something similar. And now we're going to add a second paragraph. Again, I type really fast. Now we'll add a div. We'll give it a class or container for now. What a container is, it's used in Bootstrap, if we'll learn later, to have a series of rows and columns in our website without having to use a table. Next, we're going to create a row. And we're going to add a couple of columns to it. Again, I'm going to type fast. And we see we have a row here. I'm sorry, we have a row with a column in it. You can tell it's a column because it has a COL tag in here. Notice we have an H3 tag and for school, and then a little paragraph below that. Then we're going to create a second row in here for our inventory system. We will come back later. Oops, I'm sorry. Let's add my paragraph in here. So this is column 1 is school, and column 2 is our inventory system. And we will come back later and make slight modifications to this, but this is what we have for now. So let's take a look at how this page looks so far. I am back on our home page. I am going to do a refresh up here. Give it a second. And we now see we have our new page here. We have ITP 245 by my name. You'll have your name there. And up here we also see my name is there as well. We have two sections here, one for school and one for the inventory purchase order system. Let's review what we have done so far. So we have created a new home page. We added 2 paragraphs here, 1 and 2. We added a container with 1 row in it, and the row has 2 columns. In the first column, we have an H3 tag, and we have a paragraph. In the second column, we have the same thing, H3 and paragraph. One thing I want to point out is this little bit of code up here. This is not HTML. Code that begins with a @ sign like this, followed by curly brackets, is good old C# code. And so this looks like C# because it is. This is called the Razor window, and it combines both HTML with C#. You notice here as well, so here we created a variable called viewbag.title, and we assign it a value, and here we use that value inside of our HTML. Okay, going back to our web page over here, we have a few things to clean up. We want to clean up this mess down here. We don't want that on our page. We'll put our name in there. And we're going to change the menu here. Remember, we're going to add 2 parts to this page. One will be a school. So we'll have to add a school section up here, an area. And the second will be an inventory, and that you will do as part of your project. So let's go back to our Visual Studio Code. And I'm going to close this window for a moment. And we're going to look at our menu, our home page. And we're going to notice in here that under our views, there is a folder called Shared. And in Shared is a file called layout.cshtml. And by the way, cshtml says this code, or this file contains code for both C#, which is the CS, and the HTML. Let's open this up, and we see a mishmash of stuff up here. So let's start with the low-hanging fruit at the top. This is our title. Let's come in here, and we will put let's put semester project. Below here, we see, and I notice a lot of gibberish in here. This class stuff in here is kind of Bootstrap stuff. It's used to style it. So let's ignore that until we get to the Bootstrap stuff. Here's a button. We're going to minimize that. We have our application name here. So let's take a look at the application name. And let's put in here, I'll put my name, you can put your name. And we just say whenever they click on this link, I give it the @ sign. This is says this is Razor code in this case. @HTML is called a helper. And so the name of this link is called Bob Semester, and this would be the home and the index page. So we don't need 2 home and index pages. So let's remove this one here. So now we have the link page here at the front, and we have about and contact. Now we want to change this down here. We don't want copyright. So this is copyright, the current year, and then my ASP.NET application. let's put, I'm going to put Reynolds Community College. Makes no sense, but we're going to do that. No, actually, I don't like that. Let's put your name in here. You put your name in there. So we got your name all over the place. Make sure we know this is yours. We have it up here. We have it down there. We have the About page and the Contact page. And you'll put your information in there as well. So we'll save this. Okay, we will have two areas to our website. One would be for school, which we will do together, and the other would be called inventory, which is something you will do on your own. So it's kind of odd, but what we're going to do is we will, let's close this. We will create two areas in our application and a project. You would think that we could come up to our project and add an area from here. Well, you can't see it, it's off the screen, but there is no area over there. So let's not do that. It'd be nice if we could. Instead, we're going to go to our controller. Let me make this a little wider. Go to my controller, and I will add from here a new item. And the new item will be an area. Let me try this again. It is right-click controllers, add, we're going to call it new scaffold item. I made it confusing, not as obvious as you would think. Make it new scaffold item, and under MVC we have an area. We're going to create a new MVC5 area, and we will name this school. When you do yours, you will create an area, name it inventory. Let's give this a minute. It creates a bunch of files and folders. And now we see we actually created a folder called areas. Under area, it created a school. Under school, we have controller and we have views. And under here, we have nothing. Oh, we have shared at least. Okay, so here's our controllers. Now let's add under controller, let's add a new controller, and we'll just name this school. We'll make it empty. And we'll call it school controller. I'll make my screen a little wider again. And under index, we will right click and we will add a view for index. Okay, we're going to change this later, but for now, let's use our layout page from the home page. So we're going to go to navigate to that. We're going to click on views. We're going to click on shared. And we're going to grab our main layout page. And we'll add that. And if we look at the view, we have the title here. It says use the layout from the main page. Now let's just add some code in here. Let's just add it here. So we're going to name our title that. We're going to use our C# razor code. And we have created a view. So let's save all this. Now, anytime we add C# code, we have to do a rebuild for us to see the code in our website. So I'm going to do a build. I'm going to do a build. We should have a clean build, and of course we do. And now let's go look at our web page again, and let's do a refresh. All right, so over here we noticed this is our home page. We have no way to navigate to our school page. So we'll take care of that next. But for now, let's do a quick refresh here. And a couple of things. We see we have Bob's Semester Project. The home is gone because we don't need both. We have About and Contact still. And our copyright notice has our name down here. So for now, just to get to our school page, we're going to come up to our URL. We'll type in school. And we see we have our school homepage. And we still have our copyright notice. And we can come back over here. So looks good. All we need to do now is add a menu item up here so we can get to our school page. So let's take care of that. Back to my Visual Studio. I am going to go back to my layout page under shared. And this is where we have this code. Now I'm going to add a new helper called HTML link. I'm going to add that HTML.action link. I'm going to put some parameters in here. First is what displays. I'm going to put school in here. Okay, now it wants to know what action result we're doing. What view. I'm going to put index. And then it wants to know what controller. Okay, now one thing we want to add is we want to have a new area. So let's discuss this a minute. Here is school is what displays to the user. Index is the view that is displayed. School is the controller. And the area is also school. Now I added this code here. And what this does is this shows us a different way to display it. It makes the same style as our home page up there. So as we look at our home page, we see we have school here, and notice it's slightly bigger than the other two. So it's kind of personal preference. I like them the same size, so I'll show you how we'll do that in a minute. For now, let's click on school. We have our school page. Now when I click on About, I'm going to get an error, and I'll show you that, and I'll tell you why. So we get the error, resource cannot be found. If you look at the URL, it's trying to find the area school, the controller home, and the page or the view About. That's not in our school site. That's in our root folder. So let's take a look at that. Let's go back to our home page, our Visual Studio code. And that's because we don't have an area. Now up here in our home page, we have the areas. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste that in here. And for my contact, I'll paste it in there. Save this. Now let's go back to our web page. I'm going to refresh the page. Now notice a couple of things. My About and Contact, all my menu items at the high level are the same size, which I like. Now I can click on the About, and now it knows to go to the Home About and Home Contact, and of course our home page. So that's kind of wrapping things up here. We have our menu completed, at least for now. We'll see some other ways to do menu stuff later. We get more into our areas. But for now, we have our school area. And over here, we have our school area here. And of course, your job would be to add an area for inventory and add a few little buttons over here. Now I want to add one more thing before we go. Just a nice little touch, and that is on our layout page. Just come over here. Oh, we're on the layout page. Sorry. I want to go to the home page. I'm going to add a link in our container down here. So let me show you how to do that. I want to add a button on my home page for my school. So I can go straight to the school now that I have everybody's attention there. So I'm going to add an action link. Again, same one we did before. And then we're going to add a new to point to my area. And I'm going to add a new class. I'll make this a button, BTN-primary. So I'm going to add a button to my home page. It'll point to my school. Be similar to what we did before. It's going to point to the area school and to, this is a class, and this is a CSS class. So this is going to be a button. It could be the primary style. And we'll discuss that in another class. But for now, let's just save it. Now let's go look at our website. And we see we have our button. The primary colors, these are the primary colors based upon our Bootstrap. And we'll click on this. If you see, it does go to school. It goes back. It just adds a little color to it. Let's make it a little prettier yet. I'm going to add some little ornaments to it. So this gets a little bit tricky. I'm going to add two little arrows. I'm going to put an ampersand, L-A-Q-U-O, semicolon. And the other side, I'm going to put an ampersand, R-A-Q-U-O, semicolon. And these are special ornaments built into HTML, I believe. So now let's take a look at these after I saved it. Yep. And now let's do a refresh. And we see you did not quite get the results we were looking for. So let's go back to our code. So the issue is that we are putting HTML inside of a string here. HTML doesn't recognize this as HTML, thinks it's just part of the string. So we're going to tell HTML to decode it. We're going to add this utility called decode. And we'll put it at the end over here. And this will convert this into HTML. Let me save it. And let's go to our web page. Back over here, let's do a refresh. And we see now we get a little ornamental design to it. Again, makes it just adds a little style to it, a little class to it. And that's it. So I would expect you to do the same thing on your inventory side on this side of the equation. So that wraps up today's lesson. We got a lot done, and I look forward to seeing you in the next lesson. Till then, take care.